I can't stop staring at the key on my kitchen counter. It's small, silver, nothing special, except for the words he had engraved on it. Your turn tomorrow night. My hands are still shaking. My heart won't calm down. And even as I tell myself to throw it away, to forget it ever existed, I can still feel the heat of his breath on my neck from earlier. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was just supposed to fix my car. That's it. But now, every rule I've lived by, the loyalty, the boundaries, the self-control I've always been so proud of, feels like it's already broken. Because the truth is, the moment he leaned under my hood, grease on his hands, cocky grin daring me to look away, I stopped being in control. And the worst part? I didn't even want to stop him. I've been replaying it in my head all night. His confident smirk, the way his fingers brushed mine as he handed me the keys back, the way he looked at me like he already knew my answer before I did. But I didn't expect this. I didn't expect the engraved key. Now I'm sitting here, staring at it like it's some kind of trap I can't resist stepping into. I'm married. I have a life, a routine, a safe world I built for myself. But tomorrow night it feels like everything might change. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm not sure I want to stop it. Because the truth is, I've been waiting for someone to break my rules. And tonight he did. His name is Jake. He moved in next door last summer. A 27-year-old mechanic with a rebuilt '69 Mustang that he works on every weekend. The kind of guy who always has a streak of grease on his jaw and never seems to care. I'm 34. Married for 8 years. My husband, Mark, is steady, reliable, good to me in every way that counts. We have our routines. Morning coffee together. Grocery shopping on Sundays. Dinner at the same table every night. I used to love that. The predictability. The comfort. But somewhere along the line it all started to feel quiet. Then Jake showed up. The first time we talked it was about his car. I was pulling into my driveway and he was shirtless, wiping his hands on a rag. He flashed me that grin, half challenge, half mischief, and said, "Looks like your brakes are squeaking. You should let me take a look." I laughed it off, but I felt it, the way he looked at me like he saw right through every layer of responsible wife I wore like armor. He's younger, cocky, full of that reckless energy I've forgotten I used to have. Sometimes I catch him watching me when I take the trash out or water the flowers. Not in a creepy way. More like he's testing how long I can hold his gaze before I look away. And I always look away first. The tension has been building for months. Little things. The way his hand would graze mine when I handed him a wrench. How he'd linger just a second too long when we said goodbye. It was harmless. Or at least that's what I told myself. Until yesterday when my car wouldn't start. Mark was at work. Jake was outside, leaning under the hood of his Mustang. And I asked him for help. Looking back, I think that's when everything started to unravel. Because the way he looked at me, like he'd been waiting for that moment, made me feel like I'd already said yes to something I hadn't even been asked yet. And now here I am, a key on my counter. His words engraved on it. My chest tight with a kind of anticipation I haven't felt in years. Yesterday felt different from the very start. Jake leaned under my hood, sleeves pushed up, forearms flexing as he worked. I stood there pretending to scroll through my phone, but my eyes kept drifting back to him. The way the sunlight caught the sheen of sweat on his neck, the lazy confidence in every move he made. "You've been running this thing too hard," he said, glancing at me with that crooked grin. "Lucky for you, I'm good with stubborn machines." It was such a simple comment, but the way he said it, like he wasn't just talking about my car, sent a spark straight through me. He asked me to hold the flashlight while he tightened a bolt. Our hands brushed. Just a tiny, meaningless touch. But I felt it. That slow, dangerous heat that curled in my chest, making it hard to breathe. "You're shaking," he said softly, his eyes flicking down to my hand on the flashlight. I forced a laugh. "It's just hot out." But we both knew it wasn't the heat in the air. When he finished, he handed me my keys, but instead of just dropping them into my palm, he let his fingers linger. Slowly, deliberately, trailing against my skin. My breath caught. "Car's good to go," he said, voice low, eyes locked on mine like he was daring me to say something. I didn't. I couldn't. I just stood there staring at him, feeling this wild mix of guilt and craving I didn't want to admit out loud. And that's when he slipped something extra into my hand. A single small key. You'll know when to use it, he said, smirking like he'd just read every thought in my head. I didn't look at it until later. I didn't see the words engraved on it until I was home. Alone, my heart pounding. Your turn tomorrow night. Now? I can't stop wondering if I've already made my choice. That night, I told myself I wouldn't go outside. I stayed inside, made dinner, sat across from Mark while he talked about work. I nodded, smiled, played the role I've always played. But the entire time I couldn't stop thinking about the key in my pocket, how warm it felt against my leg, how my fingers kept brushing it under the table like a secret no one else could see. After dinner, Mark went upstairs to shower. I don't even know why I stepped outside. Maybe I just wanted to feel the night air, to hear the cicadas, to pretend I wasn't waiting for something. Jake was out there, leaning against his car like he'd been expecting me. Thought you'd stop by, he said casually, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. I froze at the edge of my driveway. I wasn't, I just needed some air. He smirked, stepping closer. Sure. Just air. The way he looked at me made my whole body tense. He didn't touch me, not yet, but he didn't have to. The space between us felt electric, like the night itself was holding its breath. You know you don't have to wait, he murmured. I swallowed hard. I shouldn't be here. But you are. He was close now. Too close. His hand brushed mine, barely a touch, but it was enough to send a sharp, sweet shiver through me. For a moment I thought I might actually let it happen. Let myself lean in, cross that line I'd been guarding for years. But then from inside my house I heard Mark call my name. I stepped back so fast it made me dizzy. I have to go. Jake didn't follow. He just smiled, slow and knowing, like he had all the time in the world. Tomorrow night, he said softly. And the way he said it, like it wasn't a question, made my stomach twist in the best and worst way possible. I walked back inside, my legs weak, my heart hammering. I hadn't done anything. Not yet. But it already felt like cheating. I barely slept that night. I kept replaying everything in my head. His voice, his eyes, the way he said tomorrow night like it was already decided. I told myself I wouldn't go. That I wouldn't even look at his house. But when tomorrow night came, Mark had to stay late at work. I stood at my kitchen counter, staring at the key like it was burning a hole through me. My hands trembled as I picked it up. I swear my heart was so loud I thought the whole neighborhood could hear it. I told myself I'd just return it. That I'd give it back, say this can't happen, and that would be the end of it. But when I stepped outside, the night was so still, so heavy with summer heat. It felt like even the air was daring me. His garage door was open. The light inside glowed warm against the dark. Jake was there, leaning against his workbench, arms crossed like he'd been waiting. You came, he said softly. I held out the key. I shouldn't have this. He stepped closer, so close I could smell the faint scent of oil and soap on his skin. Then why are you shaking? I tried to speak, but my throat felt tight. He reached for my hand, his touch slow, deliberate. My fingers curled against his without me even meaning to. You don't have to say yes, he whispered. Just stop pretending you don't want to. And in that moment, my body leaning toward him, my breath catching in my chest, I knew every barrier I'd built was crumbling. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, his knuckles grazing my cheek. Last chance, he murmured. I didn't move. And then he kissed me. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't hungry. It was deep, slow, devastating, the kind of kiss that feels like a promise you can't take back. By the time we pulled apart, I was trembling so badly I had to grab the edge of his workbench to steady myself. I should have left. But I didn't. The world outside that garage disappeared. Jake stepped closer, so close our bodies nearly touched, and I could feel the warmth radiating off him. My breath was shallow, uneven, like my own lungs were betraying me. He didn't rush. Every movement was slow, deliberate, as if he wanted me to feel every second of what was happening. His hand slid to my waist, fingers curling gently against my side. The touch was light, but it sent a shiver through me so strong my knees almost gave out. You're shaking, he whispered, his forehead resting lightly against mine. I closed my eyes. I can't. But my body didn't listen. It leaned into him, hungry for more. For something I hadn't felt in years. Something raw, unfiltered, alive. He kissed me again, deeper this time. My fingers found the edge of his shirt, clutching it like I needed to hold on to something solid. The heat between us grew unbearable. Every brush of his lips, every slow drag of his fingertips across my back made my whole body ache for more. When his mouth found the side of my neck, I couldn't help the small sound that escaped me. Half gasp, half surrender. He pulled back just enough to look at me, eyes dark and searching. "Tell me to stop," he said softly. But I didn't. Instead, my hand slid up his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat under my palm. And that was it. The space between us vanished. His hands traced the curve of my body, pulling me closer, until there was no distance left. My head fell back as I felt him against me. Solid, warm, overwhelming. Every movement, every touch was unhurried but devastating, as if he knew exactly how to unravel me piece by piece. It wasn't just desire, it was need. The kind that made me forget everything else. By the time we finally stilled, the only sound in the garage was our uneven breathing, tangled together like we'd just stepped over a line neither of us could ever erase. I felt his lips brush my shoulder, lingering there like he didn't want to let go. And God help me, neither did I. For a long time, neither of us spoke. I leaned against his chest, still trying to catch my breath. My fingers curled weakly into his shirt as if letting go would make it all real. Jake's hand traced lazy circles along my back, gentle, unhurried. Like he wasn't in any rush for this to end. But reality was already seeping in, cold and sharp. I shouldn't have done this, I whispered, my voice barely audible. He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. "You wanted this as much as I did." "That's not the point," I said, pulling away slightly, my stomach twisting with guilt. "I'm married, Jake. I have a life. And yet," he said softly, stepping closer again, "you're here. Not with him." His words hit harder than I expected. Because it was true. I didn't want to think about Mark. Didn't want to imagine his face if he knew. "This was a mistake," I said, my voice shaking. Jake smirked faintly, not mocking. Just confident, steady, infuriatingly sure of himself. "Maybe. But you'll come back." I shook my head. "No. I can't. We can't do this again." But even as I said it, I could feel the lie in my own voice. Jake stepped closer, brushing his lips against my temple in a way that felt far too tender for what we'd just done. "You don't have to decide tonight," he murmured. When I finally left his garage, my legs felt like they didn't belong to me. The night air was heavy, suffocating as I stumbled back into my house. Mark was already asleep upstairs. I stood in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the engraved key still warm in my hand. And I hated myself for it, but part of me already missed him. The next morning felt unreal. I made coffee for Mark like nothing happened, forcing myself to smile as he kissed my cheek and headed out the door. I told myself it was over. That last night would stay buried where no one could ever find it. But guilt has a way of showing itself, no matter how hard you try to hide it. All day I couldn't focus. I kept checking my phone, terrified I'd see a message from Jake. But there was nothing. Until late afternoon. When I got home, there was an envelope on my front porch. No name, just my address written in sharp, bold handwriting. Inside was the key, the same one from last night. But this time the engraving had changed. It now read, "Tonight. Your place." My stomach dropped. I whipped my head toward Jake's house, but he wasn't outside. His garage door was closed, no sign of him anywhere. I stood frozen on my porch, the key digging into my palm, when I heard a voice behind me. "Mark. Babe? What's that?" I spun around so fast the envelope nearly slipped from my hand. "Nothing," I said too quickly. Mark stepped closer, eyebrows knitting in confusion. "Let me see." He reached for the key, and in that moment I knew everything was about to come crashing down. Mark turned the key over in his hand, studying the engraving. "Tonight. Your place." His jaw tightened. What the hell is this? My heart pounded so violently I thought I might faint. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" His voice was low, shaking, not with anger but with something worse. "Hurt." I opened my mouth but no words came out. He stared at me, waiting, eyes dark with a mix of betrayal and disbelief. And then behind him, "Hey man." Jake. He was leaning casually against the fence, arms folded, that infuriatingly calm smirk on his face. Mark turned toward him, confused. "What's going on?" Jake didn't even flinch. He just looked at me, his eyes steady, deliberate. "Guess she didn't tell you," he said softly. My whole body went cold. Mark's gaze snapped back to me. "Didn't tell me what?" I couldn't breathe. Jake smiled faintly, like he already knew exactly how this would end, and said, "That she's not yours anymore." Mark's face twisted, part shock, part rage. And in that single agonizing moment I realized the rules weren't just broken. They were gone. Forever.